Hey, profs. Welcome on in. My name's Rob Lightfoot, proud two-time alum of Rick Edelman College of Communication, class of 2000-2001. This is Beyond the Brown and Gold.
I'm Jessica Kennedy. I'm the co-host here, also a two-time proud Rowan alum, class of 2008 from the Rick Edelman College of Communication and Creative Arts, and 2015 from the College of Education. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM presents Beyond the Brown and Gold, a show that highlights the lives and memories of Glassboro State and Rowan University alumni. Now, here are your hosts, Rob Lightfoot and Jessica Kennedy.
Jess, today we got a farmer and a banker. You know what you get when you get a farmer and a banker?
What?
A brewery.
You know, we didn't ask them why they... Well, I get it because of the bank.
Yep.
The bank building.
Yeah, because they're in a bank building. And there's farmers down there where they are. They're in Woodstown.
That's true. Okay, so I guess maybe that's why they named it that. But we didn't ask.
Can we get them back in here? Yeah. Are they far away from
Can they bring some of their product with
Can
them?
we bring them back in? Yes, can they please? So what we have is Mike Melniczuk from 03. He's from our College of Engineering.
Yes.
And then we have Megan Brown,
yes,
who is from PR. Somehow they were on campus together and never met.
Yep.
But now they met.
Now they have
and
a
now
brewery
they're doing
together.
this thing. How's that work out? We're going to find out. We talked to them about it.
Yep. We're going to talk about their time here at Rowan, their time at the brewery, what they have in store there. And if you're local to the borough, it's not too far of a hike from us. So they're set up there in Woodstown and kind of all the changes that they're hoping or helping with the community there. So we're really excited to have had them today. And I mean, I wish I could say that they brought some brews and that we can't share them with you all, but they didn't. So we have to go visit them.
Wink, wink.
So we invite you all to join us. We won't tell you when. We'll just meet you there. We'll see you there. In studio today, we have a full house. We have two alums, Mike Melniczuk and Megan Brown. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. We've been chatting a lot already, so we're
they said they would play along.
I know, we're really warmed up, so that's exciting.
But they're from Farmers and Bankers, which is exciting because if you don't know what that is, why don't you guys tell us?
It's a brewery in Woodstown, New Jersey, maybe about 15 minutes from Rowan here.
Yeah, so the only thing better about being here would be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
right?
we should have recorded there. Why didn't we do that?
Let's pick this thing up and go. I'm thirsty. No.
Rob was hoping you would bring samples. He was like, would it be inappropriate to ask them to bring beer?
And then they reminded me that we're on a college campus.
That's why we didn't bring samples.
Yes.
We debated that yesterday.
Yeah, we had a discussion back and forth. I remember, I don't think you can bring beer on campus here.
No, it'll give me an excuse to get down there.
Right.
Did you all grow up in Salem County?
I did, yes.
Okay. And whereabouts?
Pittsgrove.
Okay. Where in Pittsgrove? My husband's from Upper Pittsgrove.
Oh, okay. So I went to Shalleck High School.
Okay.
Lived right down the street from the high school there.
He went to Woodstown, so
Okay.
maybe there was like a dividing line
There is
somewhere.
a little bit.
Yeah, he grew up on Buck Road. And how about you, Mike?
I grew up in Cedarville, which is Cumberland County. So
Yes.
I went to school in Melville Island.
Okay. Yeah, Cedarville. I've driven through Cedarville before.
Okay. If you take that Buck Road, which is 553, comes through Rowan, it goes all the way back down to Cedarville eventually.
Oh, that's awesome. So what brought you guys to Rowan?
Yeah, I was going to be an engineer. Didn't know what school I wanted to, so I was traveling around when you're in high school trying to figure out where you wanted to go. And they were just starting an engineering program then, and I just kind of fell in love with everything brand new, the campus. They were kind of doing things a lot different in their program, and so I just decided I wanted to go there. It was a little closer too for, at that point in my life, I wasn't really excited to move into Philadelphia to go to Drexel or something. So it kind of worked out great, and met a lot of good people, and it was, a good 4 years.
And did you have family that were engineers? Is that why you wanted to get in the field?
No.
What was the interest?
My dad and grandfather are both mechanics. My grandfather had a motorcycle shop for almost 40 years, so I grew up working on motorcycles. When my grandfather sold that, my dad was doing machinery rebuild for a lot of the industry and everything, so I've always worked with my hands and just mechanically inclined, so I always just wanted to learn the next step, I guess, of that, and just further educate, things that I liked as a mechanic.
Was the goal to then help the family business?
No, he changed businesses and what he did, different times with that. There were some thoughts of that, and at one point I wanted to go into the motorcycle industry. I always loved that, but that's one of them small niche industries trying to get into. Never quite worked that way. I raced and spent a lot of time with it, but worked in a lot of different manufacturing industries for 20 years before we started doing the brewing.
Megan, what brought you to Rowan?
I thought I wanted to be an English teacher when I left high school.
Okay.
So, Rowan's close to home. I knew I needed to live at home. I couldn't afford to do, a campus experience. And so I applied to Rowan. It was the only school I applied to. It was the only one I was really interested in coming to. Was lucky enough to get a partial scholarship to come here. And then about, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks into my first semester, I thought, I don't really want to be a teacher anymore. So the next semester I switched over to communications.
What made you make that switch?
Whatever the 1 credit course or whatever is they make teachers take to kind of, dip their toes into the teaching profession. I thought, oh, well, none of this sounds like where I want to be.
So it wasn't like any experience you personally had in a classroom?
I really loved English and reading and writing and, teaching sounded like the way to continue to do that throughout my career. And then when you think about the reality of being a teacher, it just wasn't something that excited me. And, then I learned more about the communications program and the ability to be able to write and be creative in that way. And that really kind of drew me in.
And what kind of clubs or groups were you involved in when you were here? Were you involved in the PRSSA program?
I was,
okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great program.
Yeah, still wins awards, very active here on campus.
Yeah, the college is really fortunate to have that. It is a great experience. You get to do a lot of different things and kind of really experience what real world public relations is going to be like when you get out of college. It's a pretty great resource.
Fondest college memories. There's too many to name.
Because both of you are on campus now, right? You both were on campus. And reference the overlap here, but you didn't know each other.
No.
Right. No, not at all.
And other than living on this side of campus, like I probably only had 1 class over here, like a public speaking class my freshman year.
Which you probably hated.
Yeah, well, they throw a lot of different classes in engineering at the time. We're like, well, we got to figure out how to cram all this into the
I was going to say, what are you putting him, pigeonhole him? Because
No,
he's an engineer and he must not like public speaking.
Not at all. I love our engineers and how they communicate. Yeah. But oftentimes, that's what Amanda, actually, we're breaking fourth walls here. Yeah. Amanda, our producer here, she specialized for a while in sort of teaching just these. So she had a whole huge class of engineers.
Oh, I didn't know that she did
just
engineering. Oh, that's so cool.
Because they make that a focus, right? So they make it a huge focus so that even more so in the presenting skills. Like I can talk right now, like presenting skills.
Yeah. So
did you take that class?
I did.
Every semester we'd have to present like our project, what we were doing in front of everybody else and getting the auditorium there. So that was a big part of it, like the working on the speaking part, presenting, trying to get what you're developing so people understand it. Real world, you get out there, you have something. If you can't explain it to somebody or that it's important, you're never going to go forward. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's so important because, like, the lay person, like myself, we don't know much about engineering, right? So if you have this great thing, but you can't explain it to me, who may be a decision maker, which I shouldn't be if I don't understand what's happening, right?
No.
Rob's like, absolutely not. But no, that's important because I think a communication skill is important in all fields. So we see that communication piece run through as a thread. But I mean, Megan, you were deep in the communications world.
Right.
Yeah. What were you doing for PRSSA and what were you writing things and?
Gosh, yeah, that was it's been 20 years now since I did all of that. But yeah, just, getting involved. Writing is what I love the most. So, press releases and things like that and working on, marketing plans and that kind of stuff is really, just what I kind of was always drawn to, in any project that came up, what can I write for that? How can I be creative about that? How can I reframe it? That kind of thing.
So was it like when you first come into the communication program compared to the College of Ed piece, were you like thrilled and be like, this is really what I want to do?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It felt comfortable. And really quickly made a lot of great connections with friends and stuff that I still have. So that was really nice. I think when I first got here, I felt a little like an outsider, because I hadn't really met many people and that kind of thing. And then it just felt like everything clicked when I walked into that communications program. It was nice. And I was telling Mike on the way here, I think I graduated with 60 or 65 people. So it was a nice small group of people. You saw a lot of the same faces. And fortunately, I liked all of those faces. So it was a real comfortable environment for me.
And Mike, do you stay in touch with anybody or no?
Yeah, I got several people, engineers. That's where I made some really good friends when I was here. So I got a good handful I still stay in touch with. A lot of them are classmates that were a year or two older than me. I actually worked in a machine shop over at Rowan Hall there, and so I met a lot of upperclassmen at the time when I was there my freshman year, which was great. Some of the professors I keep in contact with, occasionally.
How about you? What did you do right after coming out of Rowan?
Work in the glass industry, pharmaceutical glass. So I was manufacturing, but what was kind of neat at the time, I was like, I didn't want to work there because it's kind of the area I grew up in, and saw a lot of people that work there. But the opportunity presented itself. But it was a good opportunity because it was one of the few companies that still designed and built all their own equipment that they on hand that they use. Where a lot of people now will just source stuff out or buy other people's equipment. So I got a lot of experience that probably most people won't get or isn't out there anymore in industry. So it'd be like, if we were producing beer at the brewery, we built, it would be like we built all our own equipment in-house to make the beer. So there's not a lot of industries that make their own stuff. That's kind of a specialized, everybody just kind of has someone else make that and they just buy it. So it was, I learned a lot that way and then moved on to several other iterations of industry throughout the years.
Can we transition to the brewery? Because I'm excited to get there.
I know. I was just going to say, fast forward, how'd you meet?
Yeah.
How did you two meet? We can't get to the brewery without knowing how they met each other.
Okay, then we get to the brewery. I want to get to the meat and potatoes over here.
Yeah.
Mike and I both have kids that are in the same grade. Our oldest two are in the same grade. So when they were in kindergarten together, they had the same teacher. My son was invited to Mike's son Matt's birthday party at the local bowling alley, and I wore my Rowan sweatshirt that day, walked my kid, and Mike was, oh, you went to Rowan? I went to Rowan. We chatted for a few minutes, and then, the kids are still best of friends, and, we grew a relationship from there. Just, between his wife and myself and my husband and him, we just all kind of, hit it off and go to the same pool together and, do a lot of kind of hanging out and going to other breweries together and spend a lot of time together. So it's nice.
I think that's kind of, we all just would hang out, go to breweries a lot.
We should do this.
My phone's on. Yeah. I mean, can we give you, I'll give you my number. I'll give you my number here.
But we still do. It's like, we're going here. Let's stop at this place or go to that place.
Right.
Our kids, when they're playing soccer on a weekend or something, like what breweries nearby? And we can stop at after a game.
No, because there are so many, right? Because
Yes.
For the longest time, it was just regular bars that everybody's going to. But now the brewery craze kind of took off, and now you see one almost in every area. So
it's so nice also when you're a couple and you find another couple that you really like.
Yes.
Sometimes you really jive with one person, but then the other person's just kind of along for the ride. So it's nice that you all hung out together. Your kids are friends. That's such a good foundation for what you were going to do. So was it because you were going to all these breweries that you began talking about maybe we should do something like this, or what was the starter up there?
Yeah, that was part of it. It's always a conversation. There was the old bank in town that sat vacant for 10 years, and it was always kind of, I think a lot of people said that would be a great brewery. That kind of started it. And, at one point I just had a conversation with my wife's boss where she worked in town. And, it's like a local business had closed up, and the downtown was, was kind of struggling a little bit, get business in there. And he's like, yeah, that's a shame. I'm like, yeah, they need a brewery to bring people into town. And I was traveling a lot as an engineer. I was flying out every week for work, so I was on planes all the time. So I was like, well, I'm going to, my engineering mind, I'm going to look into what it takes to do this. Mm-hmm. And the building that I really liked was for sale. So I reached out with a friend who had was the realtor, had it listed. So he's like, here's the keys, go in there and look at it. And started having contractors come in and, guys I knew I've worked with when I was in South Jersey a lot, and just started running numbers and doing things. But, at that time I couldn't get the building. So I ended up walking away from the whole project. It was all in the initial phases.
I'm sorry, were you home brewing at this point at all?
I was going to say, all this without brewing experience? Or how does that
home brewed
work?
a little. Yeah, my one friend I went to Rowan with, he got me into home brewing some. So I had the experience with it that way. A lot of my experience, though, was in industry. So I'd go, big projects were in factories and rebuilds. And so equipment-wise, and that portion of the brewery's pretty, I want to say easy, but straightforward. I knew what was going on there. And meantime, friends with Megan's husband, Clint. Another friend of ours, Mike, ended up he's our brewer right now. But he was like, we were just a general conversation. And he's like, oh, yeah, Mike homebrews. He's awesome at it. So just in conversation, we were talking and, had some of his beers. I'm like, these are great. Would you want to, if I opened a brewery, would you want to be the brewer? And he was like, yeah, that's my dream. So that's how that part of it worked out. And so I kind of walked away from the whole thing right before the pandemic because I couldn't get the building. And, during the pandemic, at some point, my wife's like, why don't you look into doing that again? Breweries are still, figuring out a way to do business through all this, and maybe the people willing to negotiate on the building now. So I went back and just kind of reevaluated how I was doing, my business plan, and it's like maybe we can start with some used equipment and some things like that. So I just kind of started diving back into it. People were willing to negotiate at that point, so that's kind of where it was. I had some a line on some used equipment up in Buffalo. So Clint went with me. We took a drive up there to look at the equipment. So it just kind of started snowballing from that. And then at some point, I'm like, I got to figure out how to finance this and, get a loan or pay for all this stuff. And so that was a whole other process. So it was one thing after another. And then once we got into the building phases, Clint and Megan were there with us, all the time, helping us. And it was a real community effort. Clint was there every night with me. I'm, demoing or building stuff and helping me. And at some point, it's like, do you guys want to be involved with this? You're there with us with everything, and I think it was a good match, and we couldn't do it without them.
What year was this that you opened?
We opened last year, June of 2022.
So young.
And Jeff, but avoided the pandemic too. Because remember how many businesses were closing. That's what I was
curious. Like, it's actually maybe even better that it didn't work out the first time because of the pandemic and everything shut down. Probably would have been hard to keep.
I think about that because I would have been right there if because I walked away. I'm like, I'm not paying what you wanted for this building. It's been sitting and needs a lot of work. And if I bought it then and the pandemic happened like literally a month later or whatever, I don't think I could have figured that out at that point. It would have been, so it just kind of worked out the perfect timing, and everything fell into place.
Yeah, everything kind of happens for a reason. Although at the time it must have been upsetting because you probably felt so close, but it's better that it was afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time putting numbers.
A lot of research.
Yeah, a lot of research. I had there.
You had a lot of plane rides.
So I'm like, what do I do with this? So it just sat there in a book until 6 months later, or 8 months later, whatever it was. I went back to it and started digging back in again.
But one of the benefits to that, and I say this to Mike a lot, is that when they finally bought the building in August of 21. He had his full plan set ready to go. He knew exactly where everything was going. The contractors had been in the building. Everything was already lined up and ready to go. So literally opened the door. We had a little happy hour that afternoon to celebrate, the purchase of the building. And that night we're knocking down walls and, sledgehammer and stuff.
That sounds fun.
I mean, just went right to work on demo and didn't stop until the day the doors opened,
And it has to be a little bit scary too, because I know friends of mine who are very entrepreneurial minded, opened up their own business. And that's your life, right? Becomes your everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the mindset sort of going into this whole equation?
Yeah. I knew, I wanted, since I was in college, my dad was always self-employed and had his own business, and, even my grandfather. So I always wanted that. It just took me a long time to get there. In my opinion, I would want to do that almost right out of school. And, it's kind of a hard thing. It's like you're either scared or don't feel like enough, got enough background to do that. And then once you get a family started, then it's like, well, how's this going to affect my family? So, for so long I went and just kept working, even not being happy with what I was doing, or, traveling too much and not enjoying that portion of it. And then finally, I think really the pandemic set things in motion, because I was home for a good 2-3 months, not on the road. And I'm like, I'm kind of tired of that.
Yeah.
And I want to, support my wife, Rebecca. She was, really if I didn't have the full backing of my family, I wasn't going to do it. So it finally felt like something that I had the backing. Everybody was, for it. So we just kind of decided to go and do it. And then I knew at some point I was going to have to quit my job full time because I was putting so much time into it. And I had to do that before we opened. So that was kind of a scary thing too. It was 6 months before we opened. I'm like, all right, totally quit my job. I'm just
You're
working.
in.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get the building built and everything done, and our license, so we can open up and I actually have money coming back in the other way. So it was.
And then are you sweating it out this first couple of weeks?
I think the day we opened, I was just, and so many people came there. I don't know how many, it felt like 1,000 people or more. I don't know. It was just, just floodgates coming in. That was like biggest sigh of relief that day. It was just, okay.
Have we talked about where this is, by the way? Did we even promote that yet?
I don't know. Tell us where
it is, because we mentioned the name of it, but we didn't tell people where it was.
We're Farmers and Bankers Brewing. We're in Woodstown, New Jersey. About 10-15 minute drive here from Rowan.
Right at the intersection of Route 40 and 45. So there's an old bank on either
exactly where it is.
Intersection of that, and we're in the one that's closed. The other one's still open, so it's a brewery.
So were you at all hesitant to go into business together, being such good friends for so long? See,
Not
that's
even a
so
little
great.
bit.
Yeah.
No,
I would think
not
that would
even
be
a
like a
little
little intimidating or scary because, I don't know, doing business with your friends can be tough.
It can be. I think, it felt really comfortable because we were fully invested from the minute Mike mentioned it. They're going through the process with the borough. We're the first brewery in Salem County. We needed approval from the borough to make sure that they were going to be okay with us starting a brewery in the town, So all of that, we were just, fully invested, like I said, from the minute he brought the idea. And then again, when we had the keys to the building, like just coming home from work, going to the brewery, spending our weekends, we carved out a little area on the second floor of the building for the kids to hang out, and put a TV for movies and snacks and, here's a little heater, stay warm and, whatever.
Or pick up a hammer and help us knock this wall down.
They did. I mean, we have, thousands of photos of the kids swinging hammers.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, they love the demo part.
Mm-hmm. When Mike approached us about actually being investors, as opposed to just being emotionally invested, it was an easy yes. I think we all have a passion for seeing Woodstown develop further. Woodstown's in this really unique position right now. It's, Salem County can be a little quiet and not a ton going on. There's a group that just restarted running the rail line that goes through Woodstown. And so they're running it for commercial use, but they're also running a train tour between our brewery and Swedesboro Brewing. So you can take a train from Woodstown to Swedesboro and come back to Woodstown again. And they're doing scenic train rides and things like that. Woodstown is, and people are looking at Woodstown more now, looking for what they can also do there. And we're just really excited to be a part of that kind of, continued progress in our own community, and to be a part of the community. We do a lot of supporting our community organizations like the Reliance Fire Company in town. We brewed a beer for them last year. A portion of those proceeds went back to the Reliance Fire Company. It's a volunteer fire company. So we were able to make that donation back to them. All the little leagues and sports teams and things in town, we're happy to support them, great. With raffle basket donations or percentage givebacks from the brewery and things like that. Like anything we can do to support the community, we're happy to do, and they've been really supportive of us. It's been so nice to just be a business and a piece of that community. So it's great.
So now you guys both families enjoy brewing. Mm-hmm. Now comes the question I'm going to go to. Okay. All right.
Tell us.
How do you determine what kind of beers you're going to put on tap? Like, I know you're going to put your favorites, but you try to pick a little bit of each? Because I know, how do you go through that process? Because I know what I like.
Yeah, we kind of, what beers we like.
Can I give you my, no.
Your list? We actually try to keep a pretty wide variety of beers.
Yep.
Something for everybody for the most part. And that was kind of thinking on in. It's like you really pigeonhole yourself if you're just doing one style of beer.
Sure.
Or that way. And so we got ones we rotate through, constantly doing. We've probably done 35 different varieties so far and haven't been open a year. But we have the staples that people love. We decided early on we need some Pilsners and some lighter beers for our community where we're at because it's pretty rural and, farming area. So we've, got a lot of great Pilsners on, some lagers. But we also got a ton of IPAs, we do because people just love that. So, and we do small batch IPAs, rolling them through and, constantly putting out new ones and trying different varieties. And, and that's the stuff we really like. And then we'll have, the darker beers, stouts and porters. So we got a little bit of everything for everybody. I
started sampling the IPAs during the pandemic. Then I put a little bit, I got a little too pudgy there. They pack some pounds on
yes,
there.
Yes.
But I don't like the ones that give you the double punch. There's some that are way too strong.
We have a little of both. We have lighter ones and heavier ones. And
Rob's just putting in he just wants you to know what
he wants.
I'm
taking notes over here.
We'll be there today.
I probably will after this interview.
Yeah, we just released a session IPA last week. So
okay.
It's so it's got all that flavor, but it's a little lighter on the end.
Good. Yeah. We have some races to run coming up, so I don't want to be so heavy.
You go.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Bogged
right.
down. Is that your favorite style too?
I tend toward the dark beers. I like the stouts and the porters and things like that. Those are my favorites. And in my opinion, the best that our brewer makes is our stout. That's my top favorite. But after years of going to breweries, I'll drink them all. There's few that I won't drink. But like Mike said, we're always changing our tap list. So there's legitimately every time you come in, there's something new to try. Like when I go to pour beers for work, I'm like, oh, what's new on the tap list that I haven't had yet? Let me get a little sample of that. We do a couple seltzers too, and we change those seasonally. At Christmas time, we had a cranberry-based seltzer. We have an apple seltzer that people love that's made with local cider. there's always something new going on.
Now, is the brewing community real supportive of each other? Because we've seen a rise in breweries in probably the past 5 years or so. So what's that like? Do you feel like there's competition with other breweries? Kind of nice. You guys are in a nice spot in Woodstown where you are the brewery in town. But is there a community of brewers that you kind of connect with each other, or is it you're on your own?
No, it's definitely one of the few industries I've seen that's there's that camaraderie with everybody. Everybody kind of works and helps each other out, especially starting out. Like, there's some other breweries open up. We always try to reach out to them, because the same way when we were starting, other breweries reached out to us. And there's a lot of questions. Like our brewer hadn't brewed at that scale before. And, it's like, well, what do we do here? What do we do there? So we just reach out and talk to them, and we still will. It's like, hey, we ran into this issue. Like, what do you think we should do? Or just kind of brainstorming it. Mm-hmm. And it really helps because, it's not like you're a giant business with, tons of people that have years of it.
There's not like brewing conferences, right? Like,
there are.
There are.
Yeah,
Rob's going to sign up and pretend he's a brewer.
We're going down to the CBC, and they do the World Beer Cup. So it's there's competition on beers. We've sent 2 down there. And then, it's conferences, and then also trade show and all that. And that's in Nashville in May. So we're going to be.
These sound awful.
Right? No fun at all.
It's our first one. It's our first one. So we'll see.
Oh, I think you'll have a good time.
So did you know right away that you wanted Megan to be in the position that she's in? And how did that come about, where you had like an official position, not just an investor kind of role in the.
That was actually that whole situation actually was pretty fun to manage. So when we got closer to finishing building the brewery, we would sit down every Sunday, have dinner, there'd be tools and everything everywhere. Everybody's covered in paint and whatever else is going on. And we would sit down for dinner together and talk about like, okay, what do you want your role to be? How do you see yourself involved? In my real life job for Cherry Hill Township, I'm their recreation director. So events, marketing, community outreach, all those things. That's just what I'm comfortable doing. It's what I enjoy doing, but it's just a natural fit for me. So, when we started talking about, what do you want your role to be here? We all kind of said, this is what I feel comfortable managing, and events and outreach is where I felt like I wanted to be. So anybody that schedules an activity at the brewery, I interact with them. But then when we do some of these partnership things and fundraisers and things with other groups, that, is something that I do together with Mike. And then, if I need help from my husband or Mike's wife, pull up other people in. We're actually doing a partnership beer with Battleship, New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to do a donation back to them as well. So we went up there and spent a day up there touring the ship.
That's very cool.
And, talking about that. So that'll be coming out soon too.
Probably doesn't feel as much like work. Yeah,
no,
you're in business with friends, and that's a great relationship to start with, and it's something that you both love and your families love. So like they say, if you love your job, you don't work a day in your life.
Right.
So that's nice.
The rest of us are envious that Mike works full time at the brewery and we all have regular jobs.
So do you miss the old gig at all, or no?
Occasionally just getting away. And sometimes I'm playing a lot of hats. So, I want to do some of the engineering portions of it. And, I'm pulled into a lot of directions of things, which is fine. That's the role. Like, I understood that was coming in. And also at the beginning, that's what we kind of looked at. It's like, what is everyone's roles? Like, Megan's great at what she does, and I do not have the time to handle what she can do and keep it organized like that. And it's thank God I have we have someone that can do that for us, that can reach out to people. I'm probably could be in a bad mood, but probably don't want me talking to somebody that day.
She's your PR person.
Yes,
she's your face
perfect.
for the days you don't feel like talking to people. Yeah.
And that works out great. Same thing with the front end when we were doing that. My wife had a lot of industry experience, putting herself through school and working for years. So she knew, like, I'd say, oh, we should put this and that there. She's like, no, that's a bad idea. Like, other than me going to breweries and bars, I hadn't worked in any, other than watching interaction. So I'd have a lot of ideas, and I'd try to think as much as I could as an engineer, planning everything out and where things should go and trying to stay on top of it. And I think we did a pretty good job with some of that, but it's also, you got to listen to everybody and what their experiences are. Clint's got a lot of pharmaceutical experience. So it's like putting procedures in place where, so when we grow as a business, things aren't, just willy nilly, doing it out of the back of your house. So those are the things I wanted to see put in place as we started the business so we can grow into the future, because my background's manufacturing. I'd love to see us be a lot bigger brewery on that scale, getting our product out there. I love the size we are in our town and what we're doing, but I'd love to see lots of people enjoying our beer throughout the state and growing that way down the road here.
Like distribution wise and such.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So tell us about what you're doing when you're not farming and banking. Like what are we
working real life jobs?
Yeah, what's the family life look like for both of you? Like, well, what are we doing?
Running around sporting events usually.
That seems to be what kids do these days. They just take all their parents'
Kids'
time.
sports are very serious nowadays.
I mean, starting this role was nice. This winter, I coached 2 basketball teams, or helped, with 2 basketball teams. So I wasn't able to do that kind of thing before when I was traveling. So my son's team, I was helping with that, and I was head coaching my daughter's team. She started, which I had a lot of fun, and some of these things that you normally wouldn't get to do, and I understood that going into the business because my dad was self-employed, so he'd always make time as a kid, like, to do these things, even though you're always working.
Yep.
You could be working 7 days a week or long hours, but you can niche out time to do those type of things and be with your family or what you need and make it work.
Megan?
Yeah, same thing. The kids keep us very busy, but it is a true family business for our 2 families, when we're running to sports and things like that. But then, when we're canning beers, the kids will come in and help can beers and put labels on and that kind of thing. Mike's daughter, Sarah, loves to help clean, so she'll come in and help us clean and stuff. But outside of that, I'll, grab Mike's wife sometimes and we'll go hiking or something like that. And, we try to get outside and do things. And as a family, take an overnight getaway or something like that. But the kids' sports really do take your time when they get to the ages that our kids are.
We need to get some video of the canning process. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool to
I mean, you
promote.
definitely have to come down.
Yeah,
I would love to see like how that's done. I've never even seen it done.
Now, tell us your favorite beer. So if somebody comes in, what are you saying? This is my favorite. Gotta order this.
So if they will drink dark beer, then I always steer them to our milk stout, which we call our cow tipper. And then my favorite IPA that's on right now is our Wu-Tang, which is the Woo is like short for Woodstown. Like,
Okay.
Oh, is that why there's signs? I've seen signs in Woodstown that Wu-Tang.
Well, I think they're different signs. I don't think they're the positive ones. I don't think we should.
You never know.
I know they're tagging things for different reasons.
What about you, Mike?
It always varies because I drink pretty much everything on there. So I always love whenever we got we got a new IPA out there. It's usually my favorite. For a while, and then turn to the next one. We do our Marsden Lager, which started out as Oktoberfest, and like in December, people still loved it, so we brewed some more. It was Decemberfest, and now we just brewed again. Yeah, so it's like it'll just be our fest beer. I enjoy that one for like a nice medium style. The
Belgian's amazing.
Yeah, we did a Belgian Dark Strong, which is a style that really got me into different beers early on. So I've always loved a good Belgian. So that one came out great. And we brewed that back in November, but had to let it sit for like 3 months just to age right, just to be able to put it out there. And the varieties change. So it can be the day of the week. It can be what I'm eating dinner, what I want. It's
but it pairs well with different stuff. Like it's kind of like wines.
Mm-hmm. Let's tell the listeners where they can find you. So we told them where they could physically find you, but where else can they find you online? If they're interested in hosting an event or reaching out, where can they find you?
So farmersandbankersbrewing.com. We have an updated tap list there. Every time our beers change, we add to that tap list. There's a link
putting
there
it in his phone right now. He's like Farmers.
There's a link there that you can check in if you want an event. There's information there. As you probably know, breweries in New Jersey can't serve food, but we do have a list of all the places where you can get food.
By the way, I saw that was so cute. You have a tab that says food, and it's like, just kidding. We only serve beer, and I was like, that's cute.
But we want people to know where they can, support our local eateries and get good food and have it right there. I mean, we have 3 places where you can get food within a quarter mile from us, so you don't even have to worry about. And then there's more places you can deliver from. You can bring anything in that you want, so we try to make that available on our website too. Every once in a while you find a food truck hanging out in Woodstown, not on the brewery property, but somewhere in Woodstown.
Just somewhere.
So, you'll find a list of those there on the website. A little bit of information about the building and the history of the building is there. And then Facebook and Instagram as well as Farmers and Bankers Brewing.
Which I think the history of the building is just a very cool piece too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's one of the neat things about being in the building is people come in all the time and I remember being here. I remember my grandma banking here, and have stories about it. And it's just really cool. At Christmas, we put Santa there's like a window above the main front door of the old part of the building. And years ago, when it was owned as a bank, they used to put a Santa statue or whatever in that. So we bought a Santa and
keep that
very
tradition
cool.
alive. Yeah, that's nostalgic for folks.
And I've had different guys stop in and people work there. Some guy, I worked here in the 50s, like, in the old side told me how, the vault door worked and this and that. It's always interesting to get some of that history. People have come in there, I guess, being Woodstown, it's like, they used to sell, guns in a case there. When they were kids.
We've stopped that practice.
Yeah. There's like, it was like, I'm like, I guess the lady would put it in her purse or little, and protect her money. And they said, you walked right in a bank and you can buy your little gun there. And it's like the Wild West.
This is crazy. Saloon doors and all.
Well, we thank you guys so much for coming. The next time we see you, it'll be at the brewery.
100%.
Rob, I see that you're already making plans.
I'm salivating over here.
I know. Are you
try
going to go there after you leave here today?
Yeah. No, we can't go there today, but we will make it a chance to get there because we have to.
I know, we really should. And I'll do anything to support Woodstown. My husband, I called him. He said, bleed orange. I don't know. There's some sort of Woodstown chant or something. He said, I don't really remember it, but anyway.
Either way, it's a good time. I can't wait to check them out. They were very cool to talk to. Hope they have much success in that area, especially in Woodstown, because nobody wants to see that close, especially yours truly, And so I'm looking forward to going down there, checking out some of the supplies, and 2 more Rowan Proud Profs doing great things here locally. They stayed local, which is cool.
Please join us next time on
the brewery.
On Beyond the Brown and Gold, or at the brewery too.
You've been listening to Beyond the Brown and Gold on Rowan Radio 89.7 WGLS FM. You can find more episodes on your favorite podcasting platforms by searching for Beyond the Brown and Gold or Rowan Radio On Demand.